this computer. Okay, so hey everybody, I am Sarah Grillo, and thank you for being here. We've got quite a few people here today, and welcome to the Transparent Advisor Meetup for June 2023. I just want to be clear that as much as possible, I like to make these events inclusive. So if you are having any issues with audio or hearing, please, I would encourage you to enable closed captioning, and you can see that there's the option on the bottom of your screen. Some very quick announcements. This meeting is recorded. And tomorrow we're going to be having our discussion event on LinkedIn. So what we do is we discuss each other's postings, and what this does is has the beneficial effect of helping to gain visibility. It works better in the algorithm if you have more activity on your postings, so we kind of synchronize it. I can explain more about this if anybody's interested. I do have some very nice chat groups going on LinkedIn Messenger, one for advice only and one for generally the Transparent Advisor Meetup. You know, I see it as my role to connect everybody the best that I can. And so if you would like access to these chat groups, please let me know. I have some profitability models that are available for flat fee and advice only practices. I mapped it out in Excel, what expenses typically look like, what revenue typically looks like, et cetera. So if you would like these sheets, please let me know. And I'll also be putting them into the chat after I finish my announcements. I'm working with Canute. Canute, are you here? Okay, so Canute's not here yet, but Canute of the Institute of the Fiduciary Standard, and we're going to be revising a fiduciary slip sheet. So thank you so much, Kelly Nelson, for being here, by the way. Kelly is a great proponent of the fiduciary standard. She has a great explanation of it. But what we're going to be doing is trying to defend a little bit more the concept of the fiduciary standard and helping its virtues to be better known by the public. I think we all can acknowledge that we're not going to beat down the insurance lobby or the broker lobby, right? We're just probably never going to do that. So what I think is our goal, and marketing and communications are going to be really critical here, is educating the public in the spirit of consumer advocacy about what it really means to be a fiduciary and why it's better. Okay, so I do have some materials coming up with that. I'm working with Canute. The next meetup is July 12th, and we're going to be, oh my gosh, what's that? I am going to be putting the meeting sign up into the chat, and here it is. So basically, we're going to be hearing from Holly Donaldson. Holly, are you here? Just like kind of wave. Okay, hi, Holly. So Holly's going to be discussing advice only planning. She's very successful, been doing this for quite some time, I believe over a decade. Holly, did I mess that up or did I get it right?
You got it right. The very successful part is up for everybody's judgment, but
she's very successful.
Over a decade, yes.
Okay. All right. So Holly, I always am looking at these meetups as an opportunity for all of you to be the music, and I'm just the conductor. And so we're going to be hearing, from someone who is doing it, right? Not just a thought leader, so to speak, in our next meetup. So Holly, thank you so much for being so gracious with your time to help us out. Immersion 2024, wowie zowie. Okay, folks. So as you know, we're having our first in-person event as a movement, and it will be next March of 2024. Now, I know that this might be a little bit far in advance to be registering for an event that is in March, but we had early bird pricing. I actually did extend it until the end of today. So the price is going to be going up a little bit, but it's about $250 right now. It's going to just have a slight increase. That's the ticket price. It's going to be in St. Louis. And I always just am looking at it as, this is why I called it an immersion, not a conference. I always said that if I had a conference, I wasn't going to have it be like conference corporate style, that it was going to be what I am calling it, which is an immersion, an opportunity to pour more deeply, to pour yourself more deeply into a specific concept. And so we're going to be hearing from some great practitioners. We've got Carrie Catlin, Bill Hines. We're going to be having Andy Panko speak. But the conference is not going to be centered around having people get up and speak and instruct. It's going to be bilateral in the sense that it's going to be immersive, excuse me. We're going to be breaking up into small meeting groups. You're going to be having these meeting groups. They're going to be assigned before the conference. So it's an opportunity to create a peer group of folks that are doing something similar to you, have similar goals, and then you'll meet them at the immersion event. There's going to be a community service component. There is going to be a lot of interaction. It's going to be very hands-on. So we actually have had quite a fair number of people who have registered already. I believe about half the spots are consumed. So if you are interested in Immersion 2024, please reach out to me. And if you've already registered, thank you so much. And I'm always open, just humbly and modestly would ask for your feedback and your insights about what I need to do to make sure that this is successful. And with everything that I'm doing for all of you, I don't want to let anybody down. I want to have this be the best thing that's happened to anybody's career and the best thing that's happened to the consumers of financial advice. That's my mission and my goal. And I have no ego in this. I just would very humbly ask, please give me some signs about what I need to do to enable that to happen for you. So having said that, I think we should probably get on to the show here. So the speakers that we're having we're going to be talking today about the subscription model. We've got Dr. Jay Zygmunt and Matt Etzler. Did I butcher anybody's name? No? Okay. And so these are the questions. Dr. Zygmunt, oh my gosh. Dr. Zygmunt, are you here?
I am.
Okay. Hi. Is your video on?
It is.
Okay. So let's have you just maybe you and Matthew could talk a little bit about what is the subscription model? How do you have yours set up at your firm? And I'm gonna be quiet and I'm just gonna let everybody talk. Okay, go ahead. So Dr. Zygmunt and Matthew Etzler, go ahead.
So I think the thing to keep in mind from my approach is it matches the clients I serve and also where I come from. So I am a career changer. I come out of academia and healthcare. My PhD is in adult learning. So I'm really on the learning side, come out of coaching. So coaching and the monthly subscription process goes together. But I also serve child-free folks, people who don't have kids, aren't planning on having kids. And those folks want to die with zero. So if they go with somebody that's a percentage-based AUM person, that's not going to go in the right direction. And that's where it becomes an issue it may be a conflict for them. So it's one of those things to think about. And I offer a self-directed product, $50 a month, 15 courses, 100 videos, group Q&A, and also one-on-one. And in the one-on-one, they get an hour offline and an hour in person. And we work on 1 to 2 things each month. So it's a incremental thing. So some of the questions are like, well, how do you put it up front? Where do you go? The answer is I just work on one thing at a time and build it all throughout. And my rule with my clients is if they're not getting $500 value, I want them to fire me. So I end up with 2 sets of clients. One is the people that, stay with me forever. And the other ones are like 6 or 7 months in. And it's 2 different sets of people.
Okay, sorry. Whenever I have one of these meetups with like a gazillion people, there's always like something happening right outside my window, like the SWAT team landing on like the apartment building's roof next to me. So right now what's happening is actually there's a thunderstorm starting and I have to close my windows. Oh my gosh, this is every time, y'all. Okay, can somebody just define for me, what is the subscription model? What is retainer? Is there a lawyer here? Is Richard Chen here? Richard, are you here?
So let me give you what I found out by the hard knocks. So some states will not allow you to use like any of the terms, subscription, retainer, or whatever. My state, when I was state registered, they were okay with it being a retainer model because there were hours connected to it. So there's 2 hours they get for it. The downside they don't really like is if they don't use the hours, they don't get the money back. Washington won't go with that, and some other places probably would. So I moved to being SEC registered, which allows me to do a whole lot more flexibility there. That being said, some states still don't like it.
Hey. Oh, sorry.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm here. Yeah, that's right. I mean, in terms of the subscription model, basically the way it works is there's a fee that's fixed, right, for whatever period of time you do, whatever it's a month or a quarter, and it's set, right? There's the no matter sort of how much services are provided, and that's the issue is, states have had an issue like Colorado and Washington with the fact that, well, if the services, aren't even sort of required during the period, then they worry about whether or not there's excessive fees being paid by the client, right? And so at the SEC level, that is not so much of an issue. They haven't raised the issue, but some of the states have. So that's sort of the background there. So.
Okay. Matthew, could you talk about your practice and how you've set it up?
Yeah, so ours is certainly a little different from that perspective, and we've evolved through trial and error over time. Prior to the current system we used to be flat fee and hourly, and most of our engagements were flat fee. We offered a flat fee for one-time financial planning. We offered a flat fee for ongoing financial planning or subscription. But what we found was the challenge was always the same: is how to get paid when client wants or exceeds, the normal or acceptable amount of time. And of course, we only have so much time in the day, so capacity became an issue. Plus, it's also an equity issue for clients in our view. So, and I'm sure everybody can understand, we were doing one-time planning. Client A paid a fixed fee the same as client B. And client A would use 30 hours of my time in a year, and client B would use 10. So, again, we couldn't always predict the need or the outcome in advance. And I'm sure we've all had clients where things end up being bigger than they were. Things popped up, they were disorganized. We didn't get all the information up front. Things came up along the way. And of course, personalities get in there too, people that like to talk. And I don't know about the rest of you, but I've had a few Groundhog Day clients where you just have to repeat the same information over and over again. So the challenge with that, and we had the same challenge with our ongoing planning. We would charge a fixed fee with the idea it would cover our time for a year, but things would happen. 1 year, for example, I had 4 clients pass in 1 year, and we were doing a lot of work helping the survivor figure things out, paperwork, move on. So there's a lot of extra time. And again, we want to help our clients in that role. We want to be able to do that, but we also need to get paid for it. And of course, it takes our time away from serving the other clients. We have that capacity issue again. So we came up with a different type of system. Actually, I haven't seen anybody else use this system, if you will. So now we base everybody that comes to our firm now. We require financial planning up front. And of course, as you know, that's where all the work is gathering that data. And we base it on our fee on an allocated time. So we charge $2.50 an hour. So everything's based on our hourly fee. So for example, if the contract, if we believe we're going to take 10 hours with the client, that's what we build into the agreement, with the stipulation that if we go over, we're going to bill them by the hour. So, again, they have the choice to stop, a hard stop at that 10 hours, for example, or continue the work if we're not done. So that kind of helps us alleviate or take care of those unexpected things, if you will. But after we're done with the financial planning piece, then we offer our subscription agreement. And the subscription agreement is obviously for those people who have ongoing needs or need ongoing services. And again, we base it on an allocated time. That's the language that we use in our agreement. So for example, we could say again that for the year, it's based on a yearly basis. We would indicate that, for example, we're going to do 8 hours. We're going to provide 8 hours of services for this client. They're going to pay us quarterly or monthly for that 8 hours, a fixed amount. But again, if they go over, we're going to bill them for the time based on an hourly basis. So that's in a nutshell how we kind of approach it. So again, when we were on that, and it's interesting because when we were on that fixed fee arrangement, people weren't always, not everybody was really conscious of our time. They knew it was a fixed. I mean, literally, I would set a 1 hour review meeting, and there were people who believed that we had to take that whole hour, even though the business was done maybe in a half hour. So our current structure just creates a little bit more awareness of sticking to business and attending to the things that really matter. And again, we want clients to reach out when they have questions and concerns, but we also, this helps stay more focused.
I'm going to pause here. Thank you, gentlemen. I want to pause for questions.
Matthew, I've got a question about the hourly side of things. Because effectively, you're billing on sort of this flat fee basis, but at the end of the day, it's an hourly structure, if I'm understanding correctly. So what you said there is, you want clients to reach out to you, and I'm sure you've got a great answer to this. I'm just curious what it is. Does that present? Do you perceive that to ever present a challenge, like a hesitation from your clients? Hey, I've got an issue, but do I really want to generate a bill because I'm going to call and talk about this? Or the flip side of that is, does that reduce the relationship building because clients feel like they're on the clock? I'm sure I'm overthinking that, but I'm just curious your take on it.
Yeah, no, I haven't. There are obviously exceptions to every situation. For the most part, clients still reach out to me with whatever questions they have. It's just that it's been more focused, I guess. I don't have, because there are some people that I've worked with that just like to talk. They want to share their last 3 or 4 vacations. And I just think people are a little bit more focused and conscious when they know that they only have so much allocated time. Now, keep in mind, on the subscription agreement, let's say I allocate that 8 hours during the year. If we only use 6, they don't get back 2 hours worth of compensation. And we have built into the contract that we reevaluate every year on their agreement anniversary. We'll review the time, and we look back more than 1 year. A lot of our clients have been more than 1 year. So, and sometimes we will adjust those down. Sometimes we adjust them upward. It just depends on the client again. But I don't think the relationships have suffered, to answer your question.
How do you avoid not getting crushed at the end of the year when folks realize they have that 8 hours and maybe they only use 3 as it comes into November and December, which is typically busy anyway with tax prep, tax planning sorts of topics?
It's never really been an issue. Keep in mind too that we're very proactive with our outreach throughout the year. So we're doing other things. We're reaching out to them more often than we have clients reaching out to us for things. Usually, obviously, when clients are reaching out to us, they've got something going on, selling a property, buying a property, something's changed in their life. That's the usual things. Other than that, it's us reaching out to them proactively regarding, reviewing beneficiaries, tax projections, things of that nature, investment reviews. So.
Hey, Matthew, I've only ever just charged flat subscription fees and just left agendas and time open. I'm wondering, when you go into an arrangement like that, is it difficult to track the hours and make sure that, they're getting not too much and where the limits are? And what do you use to do that?
So I've used a time system called Harvest. It's an inexpensive app. It's $12 per seat. So I have I have 2 assistants that are also on my that provide services to clients so that they can tap into that as well. It's pretty much you create a project for the client, in this case a subscription for the calendar year or whatever the time base is, and it resides in Chrome. It's a quick click on, click off. I have designated categories for what we're working on. So it could be pre-meeting, meeting, or post-meeting, could be research, data input. There's an admin and contact field. It's just quickly, I just click on those. What I will say, what we know is we don't capture every minute of time for every client. Most of the stuff that we're capturing is when we're spending a few minutes or more working on, like replying to an email or doing some sort of research or planning work, or of course meetings. Those are the major things. So there's time that's actually lost that we're actually spending. That's why we don't worry too much about the fact that we don't rebate, if you will, that whatever time that's not registered in the system, because there's things we're doing throughout the year when we're sending them mailers and reaching out to them, phone calls, things of that nature that aren't always captured in our time system, just because of our lack of clicking on that system. I don't know, did that answer your question?
Yeah, definitely did. Thank you. I identify with the talk about the last 3 vacations and everything else. So that's a unique way to kind of deal with that. Do the clients have access to harvest? Like, do they have, hey, you've got 6 hours left kind of thing?
Well, what we've instituted is we actually inform them. We can generate a report quarterly for subscription clients and just send it to them. It just summarizes the time used to date for their agreement year. We base everything on an agreement year, not calendar year. So whenever they come on and they sign their agreement, that starts the calendar or their agreement year, so to speak.
Thank you.
I like to throw in a comment. So what I'm doing is pretty close to what Matthew's doing to help avoid the issue of people talking too much. We just added that if we, in the subscription year, which for us now is 3 meetings, if they need an additional meeting for whatever reason, and we do define it by time, that here is the price. So far, nobody's ever said, yes, I feel like I need another meeting. So I got to put that in when there were people going long. So that just seems to, help the issue of the person who wants to tell you everything, but they're the business at hand.
That's good, James. Do you remind them when they're talking too much? Do you just say, hey, look, remember it's $300 if you need another meeting?
I haven't needed to do that so far, but thanks for the cue.
This was giving you an idea, what do I know? I'm not a planner, but I'm a creative person. So, I'm the communications person, right? So use that line. Okay. All right. What other questions do we have? How
Hey,
about
Sarah,
the
Charlie.
Oh,
I was wondering if I could ask Dr. J for the $50 a month. Did you create those videos yourself, or did you pull from some other source to create the 100+ videos?
So I actually took essentially every question a client had asked for about 6 months and made a video for each of them. And I paid somebody to help me edit it and do that. But they worked up to 100+. And then I reorganize it based on the courses. So I have a course on foundations and it uses these questions, and estate plan uses these questions. But the bonus is once it's set up, you're good. So I use a learning management system to manage it all. It actually does all my billing. It does all the accounts. I don't even do signatures for anything. It's all electronic, and set it, forget it. I think I tracked it between time and paying people. I probably about 40 grand into the system, but now ongoing, all I do is essentially a weekly Q&A. I don't do it every week, but close enough for $50. Each person who signs up, it costs me nothing to add more people. And it's just hopefully going to be a cash cow over time.
Hey, Jay, I have a question for you. So with your $50 a month offering, do you find that the folks that are doing that are any of your current clients that you have full-time engagements with? Or is it just people that really are not looking for full-time engagement?
My one-on-one, which is the $500 a month, they all get access to the same system too.
Okay.
So I'll give them homework and be like, here, go watch this, go read this, because it has articles and all that.
Okay.
I'm also starting to track people that are converting between the two. like, oh, I'll start on my own and then I want to pick up an extra hour, which is $300, or move one-on-one, or hey, we're in a good place, we'll manage ourselves, we're going to switch to the other product.
Okay.
We'll see over time how much movement there is between the two.
And one other quick follow-up on that. So the folks that are using that just on their own, do you find that they're actually engaging with the system over time, or is it just the initial engagement and then it begins to kind of drop off even though they're still paying the fee?
I don't have, so I started in November and really just started picking up people. What I found is that I got some people that are trying to get everything done in a month and then disappear. Although they don't actually, which is why I'm doing the Q&As. Like, sure, you want to watch every video, go right ahead. But the Q&A is the one that's hopefully going to keep them there. It's very rare. I have kind of I had like a project manager is like, I want to do everything in 1 month. You go right ahead. Your head will explode. You're not going to get anything. They also get access to Right Capital. So they get the financial planning software, they get all that. Hopefully over time, they stick around. I frankly don't care as much because they're paying me whether they use it or not.
Okay.
So
Hey, great,
Jay,
thanks a
if
lot.
they get access, I was wondering about the financial planning software aspect of this. I saw it on the website there. So that's giving them kind of their own self-directed view of Right Capital, but after they drop out of the plan, they wouldn't have access to that anymore. So do they get to export their data, or can they do it on their own somehow to pick up if they want to just freelance?
If they want to leave, they're not getting access to the software, the LMS. It all is one package. Yes, they could do a report on, Right Capital on the way out. I think, looking at my data, I don't know, probably 20% of them actually use the financial planning software. Most of them are there to learn on their own. We'll see over time.
And if I may, a side note on that. So we use eMoney and the portal for eMoney. What we found, so it's only offered though as a subscription client. When we do the initial planning, we will introduce that to the client. Maybe they'll input their data sometimes through that process. But like Jay, we remove it if they're not going to be a subscription client. We take it away. And I've actually had people stay on just to keep the system. It's an interesting thing. There are other tools out there, but they get hooked on it to some degree.
So Jay, one other quick question I just thought of when it kind of ties into what we were just talking about with the planning software. The people that are using that, are you providing also education on how to use like Right Capital in this instance, like videos and that, or is it one-on-one?
So Right Capital has some videos already done. So we're using that, but then also we have a couple, here's where to use it. And we have a course on advanced planning, which is really the one where it does most of the Right Capital work.
Okay. Great, thanks.
I think the other thing that we built in is we have monthly themes. So we're hoping that the Q&As and what they're working on throughout the year, we're using the same for both the one-on-ones and the groups. So this month is on investing and we're doing investing reviews. Cool. If you need that help and you're on the group plan, you can pay for an hour and just come get that if you need it.
Okay, great, thank you.
Hey, I have a quick question on the subscription model. So is everything included in that, like you're helping them on the investment decisions, or is any investment management separate from your actual subscription model? Like we do this plus you charge 1% or whatever on the investment advising.
So we're advice only. So I'll literally look over their shoulder and tell them what to click and buy, but I don't do it for them. So it's just a subscription fee.
So we include the time to do that work in our subscription time allocation. We consider ourselves advice only too. I know there's a debate on where that fine line is. We are non-discretionary. Every client must sign in writing any transaction that we do in terms on their behalf, but we look at it, we're just facilitating that trade for them. We're just pushing the buttons that they've directed us to push. So, but there's no separate AUM or separate charge from our perspective. It's all included in the time for the subscription that we anticipate. So,
Matthew, let me ask you a quick question. If you're doing that and you're getting permission to do that, are you custodying these assets? Or are you just trading through wherever the client's accounts are held?
Both. So we have custody at Schwab and TD. And then we also use, I keep wanting to call it FIEX, Pantera, in limited situations. And of course, Pantera, charges a fee back to us. We pass that fee back on to the client.
Okay.
That minimum fee that they charge. So again, we don't receive any other compensation for doing that. We just, again, we look at it, we're facilitating the trades for them. So, and it's completely optional. I discourage it, actually. I don't like doing it, don't want to do it. But we found that in order to help people implement their planning, sometimes that's just their preferred way of doing it.
So if they want to have you pull the trigger on it, even though you're not doing discretionary management of that, are you requiring they move to one of those custodians then at that point so you can do that?
Yeah, if they want us to provide that service, they have to move to one of those custodians or use Pantera again. That's the other option for that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Thanks.
Richard Chen, are you still here? I know you're probably on mute, so I'll give you a minute. Anyways, everybody, I have some questions that you all dialed in before the meeting. So I'm going to ask those questions, but I need to know if Richard Chen is still here.
I'm here.
Oh, hi, Richard. But
Hi.
Richard Chen, I just want to be like fully disclosing this. Like Richard's actually my attorney. Like I was never like prompted to like have him here just for having anything to do with that. But I just want to be clear, like he handles my legal stuff. So if anybody, I don't know, I was curious, that's who my attorney is.
Full
Okay.
disclosure.
All right. Here's a question that I'm not sure that Matthew or Dr. Zygmunt would be able to answer. I almost said Dr. J.
That's what I use actually for marketing.
Oh, yeah.
Is it Dr. J like Dr. just J, the letter J, or is it Dr. J like?
J-A-Y, but close enough. It's also an age test to know if they knew the original Dr. J or not. And you can see it by generations. It's hilarious.
But another one might say you're Dr. J-Z.
Yeah.
That was
Oh.
my wife is also a PhD. She's Dr. Z. So the two of us together are Dr. J-Z.
That is a
It's
match.
not Beyonce.
Not yet.
Yeah. Okay. Folks, so here's a question, Richard Chen, get ready in case nobody on the call knows how to answer it. Okay, Richard Chen?
Uh-huh. You got it.
Okay, here's the question. How do we systematically deduct money from our clients' accounts and still be in compliance? I ran into this problem while registering with state of California last year.
Well, I am a California registered advisor, and I've been audited. They've seen my system, and they don't seem to have a problem with deducting from accounts. We send an invoice before we do it. After it's actually done from the custodian account, they get a paid invoice. So it hasn't ever been flagged in our audit. So
this is Ty. I'll chime in because I'm the one who asked the question. But it sounds like you have custody of funds, right? I think I just heard you state that. So that wouldn't be an issue, but I don't hold custody of funds. And they were saying if I did any where I went in and withdrew money out of their account or had their credit card on file, then they consider that custody of funds. So does anybody else run into that issue?
So that's a different question. So the credit card on file question is the one that AdvicePay and Stripe fixes for you. So that's another question Sarah sent in advances. If you use AdvicePay, you do not have the credit card information. I use Stripe through LearnWorlds for my LMS. I don't have the credit card information. Stripe does. They agree to a subscription. I can't change it. They have to cancel it or start it. I have no control over it. I got nothing.
Okay, and you're using Stripe.
Well, by the way, for the AdvicePay people will tell you not to use Stripe, but AdvicePay bills through Stripe. So I
don't want to use AdvicePay, so you can just use Stripe directly.
Yeah, Stripe has a recurring subscription you sign up you can do through there, and the client puts in the information, you don't have it. It'll say like, state and that they have like a Visa card, but I have no clue what number or whatever it is. Right? And they're starting to do EFT for checks too. So
Okay. So then we're in compliance. That's great. That
that's
answers
my
question.
interpretation of it.
Yeah, so
Alright.
broadly, yeah, sorry, just to jump in real quick. So just remember, every state has a different definition of custody, right? I mean, a lot of them are sort of based on sort of uniform SEC rule, but the SEC rule sort of, which most states follow, is that you have custody if you have credit card or other information that allows you access to client funds, right? And the way that Advice Pay and sounds like Stripe do it is you don't have access to those numbers, so technically you can't, even if you wanted to, get access to the client funds, and that's why they consider it not to be triggering the custody rule. And the specific requirements, but every state, just bear in mind, they can have different custody rules, so it's important to know that.
And one other thing I would add on our side is we also have a number of direct pay, what we call direct pay clients, where they don't have any accounts that we custody. They do their own thing in that regard, but they are on our subscription basis. We have our system. Harvest sends out an automated invoice. It has a connection to PayPal, and they pay via PayPal for that. So,
and I think the other one, and Rich might correct me, and you can go whatever direction you want. If you're going to go down the subscription path, I would encourage you to look at some of the options for doing SEC versus state. So I've got the weird thing of not having custody, but not having AUM, not having any dollars, but I'm doing the SEC under the 15 state exclusion. If you have 5 people in 15 states, and or the internet only is another option, because some states will not, if you say the word subscription or retainer, they just blow their top. So even though it's a little more of a challenge to jump through some other hoops, it's been a lifesaver for me. I also did it for privacy concerns for my clients, but it's been huge.
Yeah, and just to bear in mind that generally speaking, SEC regulation, even though it is more onerous, it is more predictable than state regulation to the extent that you can, right? There are definitely you have to be careful about the exemptions, right, from the 100 million threshold that you need typically to register with the SEC. For instance, the internet only says that you can only basically provide advice through a sort of algorithm or a quantitative model, right? The 15 states says you are required to register in at least 15 states, right? Or not that you're eligible to register in 15 states. If you can satisfy those requirements, you can register with the SEC. It's generally a more predictable regulatory regime and doesn't have the hairy issues related to unpredictability on terms of how states will actually handle the subscription model, which we're just sort of starting to see now.
Now, question, maybe comment to the group. I'm in a broker dealer setting, so everything I do is controlled and there's no player. Is anyone else in that setting, or is everybody else in more of an independent setting, which is something that I've been thinking a lot about?
I used to be with LPL, and then because of their restrictions at the time, I decided to start my own RIA, just because there were so many hoops that I was trying to navigate there. So I was able to cobble around it, but it wasn't very smooth.
Yeah, I see all those limitations too. Thank you for that.
Okay, so the questions were, how do you handle billing, advice pay, or other service? And do you accept credit cards? I think those questions have been addressed in a satisfactorily sufficient manner, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I just clarify with Rich that basically I think it's saying if you have a third party, because I used to think it had to be advice pay, but now I think I'm hearing If you have a third party, then that's okay.
Yeah, so some of the pushback on Stripe and financial services, I don't know if that's marketing for advice pay versus real content of people billing through them or not. And I'm saying that very politically correctly. I'm trying to.
Yeah, I think you might be right about that.
I do your own research, but that was my research on it.
Yeah, I think you might be right about that. That may be the source of where I heard that Stripe was actively canceling those who were using Stripe for billing for financial services or financial planning. But that may very well be true. I may have heard that through the advice paid channels. So of course they would say that.
I got the same document from Stripe for both advice pay and my regular through Stripe.
Another question is, quote, there is a lot more work to be done at the outset of a client relationship. So how do you build that into your pricing? Do you charge an upfront fee in addition to the subscription fee? Do you just absorb this higher startup cost? Do you spread out the initial work over enough time so it isn't an issue?
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier in our process, we require a financial planning agreement initially. And so that's where all that upfront work is. And that also helps us determine what kind of client they will be or what their needs may be if they're an ongoing client. And keep in mind that sometimes we do financial planning up front and it's one-time based and you know, there is no need for ongoing services, so to speak. So you know, so we do those engagements as well. But that's where, like I said, we go from financial planning to a subscription agreement if they have ongoing needs. And so that's how we address that, because there are some rare exceptions where we've actually started with a subscription agreement, like if somebody's retired with very limited ongoing needs and not a lot of income or assets or a lot of issues factoring in the anticipated time, so we can figure that out. But that's been very rare, very rare. We still do the planning. It's just we've already figured out it's not going to require much, like if they're retired, like I said. So
yeah, and I'm going the other direction, which is there is no upfront work for me. You know, they get it out, they get 1 to 2 things we do at a time. We build the plan as we go along. My reality check is the first month or two, there's probably a little more offline work that I do, but I kind of just eat it because there'll be other months that work out. But you know, it's one of those things where if you spread it over time, it tends to be accepted by them and they learn a little better as they go along versus just dumping the plan on them in the beginning.
Gentlemen, if you had to do it again, what would you have done differently? Matthew and Dr. J.
So I started off with a lower price. I started off at $250 a month. And in March, I fired all of them. And it's been a little bit of rough. That's a gut check when you fire a bunch of clients because they're not paying you the full price and you see your revenue drop. But I'm like, now everybody's paying the same. I think I would have gone with a higher price to start. And
hold on, but before you fired them, did you talk to them and ask them like
they got a 6-month warning that they were going up to the same price that everybody else was paying. So there was a whole process behind it. I think the other thing that I'm going to do differently in the next couple of months is I'm actually going to start charging for the intro meetings, not doing this free.
It's as in if a prospect reaches out to you and says, I saw this on your website, I found you through Google, or I saw you at the conference or whatever, and then you're going to say, okay, schedule this meeting here and remit through Stripe or whatever.
I'm going to have a sorting meeting, I call it, for the pair planner to kind of like which product should they go to, or if they need to do the, bigger product. But I'm tracking way too many people doing the intro meeting who are just not qualified and need to just go to the one-on-one. But I'm going to probably do like a half price, like $100 or $150 for the first intro meeting, half price on the hourly.
Why do you think you're getting people who aren't qualified?
because I serve a niche when there's kind of nothing else out there, in the child-free finance, I mean, most finance assumes you have kids. I'm serving a wide range. That's why I end up with two products. One is for the $50 and one $500 for two different levels. And because it says free meeting, they might not take it.
Okay. Matthew, what would you do differently?
If I knew better, I probably would have jumped to the system that we're on now. Like I said, we kind of got there, evolved through trial and error. A lot of the work, like I said before, we were doing flat fee and hourly and just not being paid for a lot of time. So we did a lot of pro bono work that wasn't intended to be pro bono. That would probably be the biggest thing. The whole pricing and figuring out, being compensated for your advice and time, that's just always been a struggle for me. So just making sure that, again, we're providing that value. That's still always a concern too, is in that subscription model, is what's the value you're providing for the client? And of course, obviously they determine that based on whether or not they want to stay with you. But that's always a struggle, is making sure that we continue to provide value that warrants them paying our ongoing fee. So I just struggle with making sure that the client, and I've had other advisors tell me I'm nuts that the clients are getting, a bargain. A lot of advisors have said that to me over the years. And I look at it, for me, it's okay because I feel like it's fair. I'm trying to, again, provide them a value that makes sense. And it's kind of like I draw the analogy, over time, I've bought software packages that, they lock you in for a year and then it's not actually working or doing what it's supposed to be doing. But guess what? You can't get out because you're locked in. I don't like that arrangement. So, we don't hold anybody to agreements, even though they're structured for a year. If it's not working for them, they can leave at any time, obviously pay us for whatever time we've spent, but there's no lock there. So that whole compensation piece is just always been a struggle for us. So.
I think the one thing to add to all that, check your state regulations before you do anything on subscription, because it's weird.
Group. I want to know if anybody else has any questions, not only for our two speakers, but for the group in general. The Transparent Advisor movement focuses on the ideals of transparency, clarity, fairness, and logic in serving clients. Most of the people here are operating on a flat fee or an advice-only basis. One of the opportunities that we have when we're together is to support each other with information and knowledge and insights gained from what you've all been doing in your practices. So in the last 10 minutes, I'd like to use this as a forum, unless there are additional questions for the speakers, to have an open discussion. I also see that there are some new faces here. I want to be encouraging that if anybody who's new would like to introduce themselves, please do so. If you haven't been to a meeting before where you've introduced yourself, please let us know who you are, what you do, how you can help, how you would like to be helped. That's the spirit of our mission as a group. So I'm going to be quiet now and let everybody else talk.
This is Kelly Nelson. I'll jump in with an intro and an observation. I am an advice-only planner in San Diego. I started my career in financial services in 1992 and have been in just about every single role that you can imagine in this industry. I would really encourage everyone to eliminate the term one-time plan from your vocabulary, because I think it sets up an entire brick wall of ever engaging with a client. My model is project upfront. So I do project work for new clients, and then we transition, if necessary, to ongoing planning, which is a version, it's a flavor of many of the models that I think everybody practices here. But I think we just essentially foreclose any opportunity with a client if we describe things as one-time plans. And one-time plans are out of date the minute that they're sent to the client. So I don't want to police people's vocabulary, but having been in sales for a long time, I will tell you that give your clients optionality.
Girlfriend, you should post that to social media. You should post it.
Unless you beat me to it, Sarah.
I'll tag you on it, okay? I'll let you do it first. If you tag it, I'll share it. That'll add a little bit of my typical flair. Advisors, stop using this word. That would be more like how I do it. Thanks for all of you putting up with me. I know it'd be crazy at times, a little bit of a wild ride on social media. But anyways, okay, who else is new? Now, I personally know who's new. And if I'm holding back from embarrassing everybody.
Well, I'm fairly new. I have attended one or two of these things in the past. I'm Tim McKee, and I'm located in a suburb of Cleveland. And I really just started my practice in January. So I was working for a bank for 30 years, and then I left because the interest rates were hitting the pension too hard. So I took it before the pension lump sum got smashed in December, and started this practice and integrating it with tax practice as well. So I'm a CPA and I'm a personal financial specialist credential with the CPA. And so all of what's being discussed is interesting to me because of pricing models, subscriptions, and so I'm seeing how that fits into what I'm gleaning from other sources to just implement. Right now, I'm just doing it as a fee for project basis. So if we meet over 3 or 4 visits, we have an engagement letter that just says, we're going to do this on 3 different meetings, and this is what the cost is. And this is what my price normally is at full cost, but I give a discount if let's say I did their taxes.
How are you finding it so far?
Not too bad. It's really just building up the client base. So I'm out there trying to pull them in. I don't have a whole lot of them at this point, but I was able to prospect off of the tax clients this year. And that's going to be part of my lead in. Another lead in is also I became a referral partner for an estate planning solution in 49 states, which is called Estate Guru, which basically clients that you have already, or they can be new clients. You sit down with them and help them through an online estate planning solution, which connects them with an attorney in that state who prepares the documents, and you're really just helping them answer their questions along the way. That one actually is more of a lead in, because everybody, 6 or 7 out of 10 people do not have a will. And so whenever you're talking to them and just casually ask, they say, well, can you do it? And I say, well, I can help you do it. And if if a revocable living trust is good for them, then the attorney on the site will say, you need to really go this way. You have a blended family, you have kids from both prior marriages, and if the attorney needs to speak with them directly, they will within 2 days. And then the documents are prepped by the attorney. They send it within 10 days. And
All
that's
right.
that.
Okay, Tim, thank you. So, okay, y'all, let's have a little talk here, okay? People are saying in the chat, both Holly and also Kevin said, also to Sarah's list. Okay. I have these lists on my website, and one of them is list of flat fee advisors. And then I have another one that's list of advice only advisors. And guess what? They're ranking on Google. I'm kicking everybody's butt on Google. Okay. So what happens is when somebody types in advice only planner in Detroit, Michigan, then my list comes up. Okay. Everybody, how many is y'all there? 34 of y'all. If you're not on my list, send me an email or a LinkedIn message right now, not on Zoom, because I don't look at the chat really after. Notify me. I want to be on your list, Sarah. Here is my ADV. Okay. So the other thing is, because like people are saying that they've gotten leads from this, and it's true, it's a funnel, okay? But I can't do it. I don't have the time to sit there and go through everybody on this call and make sure you're on the list. If you're already on the list, please go and just check that I have your information correct, I have your website correct, etc. So this is part of my plan to have us kick everybody else's butt, okay? But I can't do it without you doing this. The other thing is, please, and I don't mean to be like a scolding mother, like clean your room, right? But here's my like scolding mother voice, okay? Please put on your website somewhere, preferably on the homepage, I am a flat fee advisor in Detroit, Michigan, or wherever you are. I am an advice only planner in San Diego, whatever, geography, the type of planner you are, the type of advisor you are. You may say, oh, well, I want to work with everybody around the country. That's fine. But the way that Google works, people in your area, when they search on, I want a financial planner, it's going to bring up people in their geographic area. Okay, so that's very well that you want to, if you have a specialty or whatever, like you're child free, you're whatever type of employees. Okay, fine. I'm a financial planner for the employees of IBM. Okay, maybe it's not geography if you're working nationally. But I get mad, like I literally get mad when I see some of you all calling yourselves transparent advisors. See, now I'm scolding you to clean your room, okay? And brush your teeth before you go to bed, okay? But I see like your websites and the fees aren't on the websites. I get mad, like I literally get mad. And then when I see like, some of you are just like talking all about like, oh, well, I was working for 30 years and then I sit out and did this. Like, no, I'm a fee only financial planner. I'm a flat fee advisor in blah, blah. I'm an advice only planner in Boston. I want it. And if I see your website and I see that's not on it, and if your pricing's not on your website, I'm going to send you a mean email and send you to your room. Oh my gosh, there's only 2 minutes left in this webinar.
Can I do a fast intro? I'm James Brewer. I'm in Chicago. I've been doing subscription since 2018, technically before then, hoping to find other like-minded advisors, similar to Matthew, because a lot of what he said is what we're doing, because I believe that there's more strength in numbers, which is kind of what Sarah's trying to do. And I really hope that there's going to be some work groups around subscription planning that we get to share ideas, especially if that's an immersion, but ideally before then, because I think there's many different takes that are right for different people, but we just need to get more of those takes out and then collectively advertise that term and make that something that people are searching for.
I'm working on taking over Google on behalf of the Transparent Advisor movement. So yes, James Brewer, and I don't think you're on my list. So can you please send me an email? I'll check out your website later and send you a mean email if I see any of the issues.
I think my webmaster just fixed that last week, so I won't get the tardy.
Okay. Okay, who else wants to talk?
I'll talk. If first of all, I don't have a website, so you can't get me there yet. I'm Carol Acker. I've been a fee only planner, fixed fee planner since 2002-3. Excuse me. I took over practice from a woman who started hourly practice back in 1981. And we just thought that fixed fee made more sense. We bill quarterly. We're very holistic. We work, we do not manage money. We work a lot with ESG, SMA managers. And we're kind of in between a family office and not, and that's sometimes an area of difficulty in terms of when I call timeout and have to bill for a separate project, which we do put in our agreements. I'd love to chat more about advice pay. We did that starting with COVID, and I feel like we're a little bit trapped. It costs a lot of money. And we find it very difficult. The billing, there's just nothing that you can really tweak the way you want to. And you get all these communications back with them with lots of exclamation points. Thanks for asking that question. What a great idea. We'll maybe think about that. But anyway, but we're stuck with it for the moment, and it works, pretty well for, compared to doing our own billing. But anyway, that's it. Any questions? And we're in Northern California in the Bay Area.
Carol, you can still be on my list even if you don't have a website. Just send me an email.
I'd be happy to. I will.
Okay, please.
Thanks. We'll get there.
Is anybody else new to our group?
I'll say something before.
Who's trying to talk?
It's Tim Gardner. I thought I'd embarrass myself before somebody else embarrassed me.
Okay, but hold on, Tim, can you talk? Just wait a minute, because Mara was going to talk. Mara, I said that wrong. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, Maura Madden, and I'm in Seattle, Washington. I am an advice-only hourly planner, and since 2021, and I'm building slowly. And I definitely am not looking at SEC registration for various reasons. So I'd love to hear from other people in Washington, because the state isn't, particularly open to hourly. And I do know one colleague who does similar to what Matthew does, but then actually issues refunds for hours unused. And I know Washington allows that, but it's all a lot of extra stuff. So I'm definitely interested in learning more about that.
We should talk to Canute, because we go out and we advocate with the regulators. So it sounds like Washington State, we need to zero in on that, because those advice-only players are in need of some advocacy, right? Okay, good. That's awesome. Talk to me after, okay? And we will gang up on Washington State. Trust me, when I get a little bit of a bee in my bonnet, I'm a force to be contended with. Okay. Y'all haven't seen it. Okay. Who's next? Tim Gardner.
Yes, Tim Gardner, just outside of DC in Northern Virginia. I am with a BD on charging AUM. I've been brought to the subscription fee-based advice. I've been getting probably a call a month for a year and a half now, people saying they're interested in it. I guess my frustration is, given that I'm on a BD platform, quite honestly, when you go to somebody within the program saying, how do I set this up? You get the look like a monkey doing a math problem. It's like, why do you want to do that? Why not get off the AUM? So I think this is a fair way of doing business. Plus the fact that a lot of people just don't want to turn over several $100,000 or millions of dollars to somebody to manage that they've never really met. So that's my interest in the program, and that's where I am. And no, my fees are not on my website, and I'm probably gonna get another nasty email from Sarah.
I didn't say nasty, I said mean.
Mean, nasty, whatever.
Okay, who else? Okay, so Holly Donaldson is speaking at the next meetup, and then Chris Toby. Chris, are you here? Okay, Chris Toby is going to be speaking at the, what comes after July? The August meetup. It's been tough. I have 4 children under 9 years old. Okay, it's tough. It's hard sometimes. Okay, so August meetup will be Chris Toby. But just in general, I want to know, what features would you like me to add to the Transparent Advisor movement to make this more useful to you so you can be more effective in your role? Currently, I could summarize the features as this. I have online chat groups on LinkedIn Messenger where you can chat and exchange ideas freely with other members who are in that chat group. I have monthly virtual meetings. I'm having an in-person event in March 2024 in St. Louis. I have lists that you could get yourself added to that in many cases have attracted marketing leads. I have an array of resources that are instructional in how to run a practice or market it, all of which are on my website, including some videos and video replays of all of these meetups. I have a LinkedIn group where we could have discussions as well. I have an Instagram account dedicated to the Transparent Advisor movement. We work with the Institute of the Fiduciary Standard to go out and advocate in certain states where regulation is not friendly to these business models. If you're suffering in your state, please let me know. There was a little bit of an outreach effort trying to reach out to colleges and to reach out to younger populations and help to encourage these business model. Okay, so hold on. Daniel Bishop is saying slides to explain advice only and flat fee to the humans. Daniel Bishop, I actually have two slip sheets. One is what is advice only, and the other one is what is flat fee. So I have those on my website. There's a playlist. There's a group of blogs on my blog. If you search by category, it's called Transparent Advisor Movement. Let me put it into the chat. And I've put all these things there. Okay. We also have like I mentioned, we have every month after the day after our virtual meetup, we have a discussion event on LinkedIn where we all like each other's posts and comment on each other's posts. It happens at 1 p.m. within 1 hour, and it has the result of triggering beneficial results in the algorithm, as well as making the postings more visible, which is supportive of marketing efforts for the advisors that are doing this. Thank you, Holly. We'll see you next month. But what else can I do? I mean, I want to know. I'm humble here. Is there a product? Let me ask you this. I mean, I've stayed away from this so far because I'm not really, I mean, like my business is like doing well here. Like I have a business, right? I don't know, like, how would I do it? I don't know how I would even do this, but here, let me ask you this. Is there a product or a service that you as a group are needing? Like somebody mentioned advice pay stinks, whatever, hard to work with. Okay. Is there something you want me to create, like an actual product that either, I don't know, like.
I think there's a tech stack kind of conversation. So, you know, I added Advise on, I tried some other stuff. I use FP Pathfinder, Holista Plan, Money Guide Pro, or Money Guide Elite, because they have different variations. So I just think like a lot of people, like there's a lot of software out there. And I think, you know, if you're going to do this, what software supports what business model? There's even like somebody else who tried to sell me something on like tax stuff. So, but you know, knowing how somebody's integrated it into their practice, because a big challenge I've discovered is, you know, it's the promise of the technology. And I think it was Matthew who said, hey, but suddenly you got locked in. Like I got this thing that my RIA compliance people had to help you with doing rollovers. I didn't realize I had signed a 12-month commitment for it. And I don't feel I do enough rollovers that justifies the expense, but couldn't get out. But, you know, there might be a feature to it that I haven't really used that I don't understand. So maybe somebody else has. So I think if there was a place to go where you could, you know, either hear other people's experience or at least, you know, somebody vetted something to give either positive or negative before you decide to dive in the pool.
Maybe product reviews. Do you want me to post product reviews of products that would you?
Yeah, I think like a, you know, review of somebody in the group, like, because to me, it's the application to your practice, right? Like this thing, see, Matthews know what I'm saying. Okay, so when you brought this in, like, did it help your business or not? Like, how did you integrate it with other things? Because for a while I had a bunch of tech that wasn't integrating at all with one another, or it wasn't integrated into the business model. So I I tweaked my ongoing model to put in some software that I think is valuable to my clients. But, you know, I had the hard knock lessons. So it'd be good to know, like, somebody else, hey, I use this, or, you know, the hard knock story of, you know, advice pay that 3 poor people talked about. So, you know, I think there's going to be an exodus to Stripe, it appears. So, like, so we heard it from people today. So if there was a place to go, like, oh, hey, let me go check out Sarah's technology review, and maybe, you know, I email Matthew, Carol, somebody to go, hey, you know, saw that you gave this review, any other thoughts? I think that would be helpful. Just, you know, this technology stack thing is a beast to try to manage.
I totally agree. There's so much out there, and you only learn about certain things from people like groups like this, where somebody's on the other side of the country, and I never heard of that before. But yeah, I totally agree, because for me, I want to justify a fee. I want a client portal. You know, I started using a cash flow planning software, which has been massively well received. So, like, I would love to hear everybody's point of view, what they use, how we can sort of discuss it, and to James's point, put reviews out there about it, and let us all interact with each other to learn.
I think if you're going to start a business, you should use your marketing skills and do that side. The tech stuff, the information there exists, where you could make a marketing audit, and here's a list of people that you can actually have do this, fix it for you. Might be the easiest low-hanging fruit, since marketing is going to be more similar in this group than tech even.
Thank you, Dr. J. One of the things I've thought about is creating some kind of a lead generation machine. Like,
so the problem is the lead generation stuff, like, I don't want to compete with all the other companies doing that. The reality check is, even just the simple stuff of the website audits, you've been talking about it in every meeting in different areas. Doesn't have to be reinvented. You already have the content. You already have the ideas. It's just, I'd like to pay somebody to do a marketing audit and then tell me, do these 3 things, and then go, if you pay me this extra, I'll just do it for you. I'm like, awesome. Like, I do not do social media while I'm paying somebody to do it now for me, but like that type of service. And that's something we all could experiment with.
I'd like to second that, but like maybe change the angle of it and say copywriting. Like, if you're extremely good at something, if you've been doing something for 20 years, it's extremely difficult to see it from the customer's point of view, and to use the right language, and to use that right copywriting. And so help with something like that, going along with what Dr. J said, is probably what we need, as much as top of funnel mechanics and, you know, what you're missing.
Sarah, this is Carrie. On that, a little bit of a twist on the lead generation piece is M&A. You know, there are plenty of M&A firms out there that are looking to help advisors purchase other advisors, but most of the purchasers have an asset-based fee model, and they're not that interested in people like us. You are creating a community here where I think there will be M&A opportunities, and I think that there is money to be made in that end of the business. And I'm not sure how this, you know, fits with what you're interested in doing, but somewhere down the line, a service like that will be invaluable to this community.
well, I mean, I'm kind of the person that, like, on Google, I hear all the time from people. They come to me directly and they say, I was looking for a flat fee advisor in so-and-so location. So, and even like within the industry, when people say, like, the reporters come to me and they say, like, we want to know what's up with flat fee or whatever, like they come to me. They come and go to some other people too, but they do generally come to me. So, but they come to me for the names. Like, people in the industry are starting to come to me for the names, like, who is a flat fee planner that does this or that. So yeah, Carrie, I see what you're saying, and this has been said before. Yeah. Okay. Let me think about that. I'm actually gonna have to re-watch this replay. Like, you understand, I'm gonna have to, like, I normally don't watch the replay of my own thing, because I'm like, well, I was there for the whole meeting, but I'm actually gonna have to watch this replay. This was great. I think I have to end the meeting though. Does anyone not want me to end it? Okay. I don't want to. I mean, I really enjoy being around all of you, you know? I'm surprised anybody can stand me for this long even. I guess when you're on social media, you do get a kind of even dialed down version of me, but here I am, and everyone's been able to be here for over an hour. So thanks everybody for putting up with me. And thanks for all of you for who keep coming back and who are even going to come to the immersion in March. I'm kind of a talkative person. I think I really would be lonely without all of you on social media, following me or being in little groups or whatever. So it's personally gratifying. So thank you. All right. I'm going to end the meeting now. Okay, everybody? All right. Bye. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.